Welcome everybody. I am so excited for our interview today. I am interviewing my now grandfather, Ed Tigchelaar. Ed is if you haven't seen him around town, he is an absolute staple in town. He's had his finger on just about every project in Sonoy since for the last 10 years almost or so. More than 10 years now. 15 years now.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well. Why don't you, for the people who don't necessarily know who you are, introduce yourself, and we're just going to talk about all the cool things that you've gotten a chance to work on in Sonoy.
All right, thanks, John.
Yeah.
My name's Ed. I've been around Sonoy, as John said, for about 15 years. Loved this little town right from day one. Met some of the older folks at that time, the pioneers of the city, if you will, and real solid salt of the earth people, and we ended up buying a lot of their property. I'm down here for 5 months of the year, mostly in the winter. I'm from Canada, and proud to say that my son Scott is from Canada, and Brian, but we all ended up here, and we're glad we're here. This has been an exciting town to work in. Just to watch it develop, and sure, we had a part in it, but there was an energy here that just seemed to carry the town along, and a great town council to work with and great people to work with here. So it was like good fertile ground. You throw some seed in and stand back and watch it grow, and that's what Sonoy's been like, John.
That's awesome. It is. It's been it's crazy, even just since I moved here in 2018, to see how much town has continued to grow, and clearly it's a perfect setup for success here for everybody that's here in Sonoy.
There's an energy here.
There is
an energy here that we sense from day one, even when we weren't sure where it was going to go.
Right.
You just sense that there was something cooking here.
Right.
And the town has a real nice heritage. We sense that, and God has always led my life, and I felt that I was led in what we did here. Some interesting things started us off. I got a call from my brother-in-law Paul and Scott in 2005 to come down to Sonoy and build them a bridge. And I've never built a bridge in my life. And I said, well, how long does the bridge have to be? Well, 57 feet. And how much weight? Well, it's got to carry 20 tons. I said, well, I've never built one, but I'll come down and take a look. So I came down here and couldn't find Paul, couldn't find Scott, and I thought, well, I'll just drive around the country and see what the country looks like. I'd never been here. And I drove up Luther Bailey. And I got about 2 miles up the road, and here's a weigh scale out in the field. And I thought, that looks like a bridge. It had a for sale sign on it. And so I phoned Scott. Oh, I measured it. It was 10 feet wide and 63 feet long. And it wouldn't carry just 20 ton, it would carry 60 ton. And I said to Scott, I got him on the phone, and I said, hey, I think I found the bridge. And he said, where are you? I said, I have no idea. And he said, well, what's the name of the farm? And I said, McKnight Farms. Oh, Paul McKnight. He said, we're trying to buy some property off him. He says, I'm going to tell him he's going to have to throw that in. And we had an instant bridge.
Yeah.
All we did was tow it across the creek, and it was 63 feet. It fit, put some dirt around it, put some cement around it, and it's still there, and it hasn't moved. Hasn't moved in 15 years. And like I said, I've never built a bridge before, but that's a very successful bridge. And that's the way this town has gone. Mm-hmm. Everything you put your hands on just seemed to turn out very, very well.
Right.
So
that's awesome. So that was one of the first project you ever did down here.
That was the first project, and I've done many projects since.
Well, I mean, some of the ones that stood up to me that I think would be cool to talk about as well is the all the trees that you put in with Brock when y'all were down here. I think probably every third or fourth tree we planted in town was planted by you and Brock at one
A
point.
lot of them were. We bought the trees from Jim Lindquist, who's got a tree farm, had a tree farm out here, and probably some of you know Brock. He was a joy to be with. He was one heck of a lot of fun to work with. And there was not a mechanical problem that would stump him. And we had a lot of fun together planting trees. I think I planted trees and shrubs and other things, probably about 320 with Brock. And then when Brock could not come down any longer, he was also from Canada. I did probably another maybe 150 on my own.
Wow.
So
That's awesome.
but they were fun.
Yeah.
I do them every winter, and it was just a joy, because we started buying them then from Al Morris out in Turin, and Al's just a gem of a guy to work with. So it's just been a very enjoyable venture, that tree planting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Another one I wanted, I think is such a cool point in town that, and everybody can go and see it really easily, is the mantle that you and Brock put in what's now McGuire's space.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody goes down there, when you walk in the front door,
Yeah.
their big fireplace, there's a huge wooden mantle up there.
Yeah.
Tell everybody about that story as well.
Well, that we got the trees out of the woods, and they weighed about, just the trunk, about 1,800 pounds. It was two of them. And I took them to a sawmill, and he cut off all the waste on it. And we ended up with maybe an 1,100 pound tree, is what the sawyer told me. And but it was punky, and I didn't like the look of it. And so we took them home. We took them up to the studio, and I told my brother-in-law, I said, "We got these logs trimmed up, but I said I don't like the look of them." And Paul looked at it, and he took a claw hammer, and he just started whacking out the chunky stuff, the junk stuff. He said to me, "Ed, it's perfect." And so Brock built the frame for those for that log to fit in. It's all made out of steel, and he welded it all in place. And we put that log through the window, and got a bunch of guys and lifted it in place. And every time I look at that log down there, I think of that story, of us doing that together. And
Right.
it was just another fun project, John,
Right.
that was just enjoyable to do.
It makes our routine Guinness down there that was more enjoyable to see that walking in.
Yeah, you reminded me with that Guinness of a very exciting or enjoyable endeavor, having a beer.
Absolutely.
And I've always enjoyed a good beer down there.
Yeah. Now, coming from Canada, what's really cool, I think, in Sonoy is how many people have moved here from all over the country, all over the world in some cases, and have all bought into what Sonoy is and the really unique town that Sonoy is. From your perspective, coming from Canada, what do you think has just stood out as exceptional here in Sonoy and Georgia as a whole?
There's a number of things. The friendliness of the people is what hits you right away. And people wave to you very easily when they see you. And it's just a nice, friendly, open town. And that differs from a lot of places, not just Canada. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing that has struck me consistently, like year after year, mm-hmm. It's the same. The other thing is I grew up on a farm in Canada, so I was never part of a small community. Mm-hmm. We were remote in a way in the country. So there's a nice feeling of community here, and that's very important. You can walk into any establishment and see people you know, see people on the street that you know, see people on the road that you know. So it was that kind of thing.
Right, I agree with that 100%. I'm Southern California originally, obviously, and my hometown is probably 85, almost 90,000 people now, and across the street was the next city, 120,000, and it's just, you lose this your sense of belonging in a really tight-knit community.
You can. I mean, I in Canada, I'm from an area, the cities around us, they number in the millions, Toronto is a city of maybe 5 million people. 2 or 3 cities right nearby us, 500,000. So like you say, you feel like you're just a little wee guy in a great
Right.
big pond.
Right.
And here it's not that way.
Right.
So
And it's really cool that we have a small town feeling, although we are less than an hour from downtown Atlanta. And
Yes,
so
sure.
you have access to, for people who maybe see this video down the road and are thinking of moving to Sonoy, you really get a cool environment here, but you're still close enough to a large metro area to get, the Atlanta airport and, the downtown job growth and opportunity that you would need there. But this is really a unique place.
yes.
Now, I wanted you to talk about also, we're sitting right now in, I would venture to say, one of the crown jewels of your time here in Sonoy. We're sitting in the farmers market space right now, and this has been a 2.5 year project now. Making this what it is today, and let's tell people kind of how it started and where we're at now and where we're going with the farmers market.
It's been all of a 2-year project. It's been a lot longer. When I first looked at this building after Scott and Brian had bought it, and Paul, I thought, what a piece of junk this is. And you could not move in this building for garbage. It was unbelievable what had been packed away in here. There was some useful space out here, but mostly it was in real bad shape. And I thought it was going to come down. But we put a skid steer in here and we started cleaning out. We got some bins from Pollard, bin after bin after bin of garbage we took out. And then Scott came up with the idea of taking that half of the building down. Now, I've never built a bridge, I've never taken a building down either, so that was a lot of fun.
Right.
And we got it all down safely and dumped into the bins and trucked away. And then Scott got the idea that it might make a nice market. So we built the market out there. And then we bought all these boards, pine boards, to dress this side up. Not dress it up, just block it off really, but it dressed it up.
Right.
Compared to what was here, that really dressed it up. And then it just evolved, like everything else in this town. It seems to take on a life of its own.
Right.
So this building has taken on a life of its own. It is a most enjoyable building to work in. It's right in the center of town, and yet it's an old building, And we put this wood stove in. And in the winter, that thing is nice to have on.
Yep.
And we started cutting up some wood over here. And that grew bigger than I ever expected it to grow. But, and then Scott put that bar in and an inside toilet. And, I'd hate to see this building taken down now.
I hear you.
And I don't think it will. I think we'll leave this up as long as we can leave it up.
Right. And the farmers market, I think, has been really a unique addition to town. On Saturday mornings now, almost the whole year. I think only during
2 or 3 months.
2 or 3 months that they don't do it. But there's probably over the course of a Saturday morning from 8 to 1 or 2 o'clock, there's probably 700, 800, 900 people sometimes that'll come through the farmers market easily.
There's a lot of people, and the thing I notice about them is most of them, 95% of them are smiling. They love being here.
Right.
And they love testing out the merchandise and looking at the vegetables and looking at the other merchandise and the home baked goods. And it's a very happy feeling when people come to visit this market. It's a wonderful thing for the life of the town to have this market.
Right.
And nobody foresaw that. We just thought, Scott and Brian thought, well, let's try a market and see what it looks like.
Right.
And it's taken on a life of its own. Because now we're going to expand it outdoors here. And we've got it now up front, out front.
Right.
Probably one day we'll have it going up that parking spot next to us here.
Yeah.
So that's just another one of those things that grew on its own.
Right.
And it's a real asset for this town. This This market is a real asset. People from Noonan come and say to me, wish we had something like that over here.
Right. And I think that it speaks to the success of the farmers market, the success of everything. It speaks to the unique character of people in town. I know I'm really excited. I've got interviews coming up with some other restaurants, and I know that now, I mean, you had McMaster's that moved, and the first weekend they opened up, they ran out of food. They went through, what, a week of food almost, or a week of food in 2 days?
Very quickly.
Yesterday, same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
And
they got overwhelmed with demand.
right.
Yeah.
And the people in Sonoy, I believe, they know how important it is to support small businesses and local ventures, and they actually do it, right? It's not just a bunch of lip service. In Sonoy, when you're a local business, you've got the weight of the town behind you.
Yeah.
And I think that it does. It's unique for both you and I coming here and seeing a place like this for the first time.
You know what an artesian well is? That water just comes out of the ground naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Well, where our house is on Morgan Street and Baggerly Way there, when we built that, we came across a pipe coming out of the ground, and it's 8 inches at the top. It goes down 400 feet. It used to be the town's water supply. It just bubbles out of the ground. We have to cap it, or it'll just keep on flowing. Well, that's the way the projects in this town have been. It's been like an artesian well. You do a little something over here, and it takes on a life of its own.
Right.
McMaster's opens up their barbecue place, and the people pour in.
Yeah.
Yesterday, opened up their place. He sold more food in 3 days than he thought he was selling 3 weeks.
Right.
So again, it just bubbled up. So that's the joy of this place.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you taking some time out of your day, Ed. I know you've always got a project to do, but
I love projects.
absolutely. Well, and I appreciate it, and I hope that everybody watches this, takes people who see this, who are thinking about moving to Sonoy. Maybe this is the video that convinces them to move on in. So
They love it.
They really would.
They
Well,
love it here.
Well, Ed, it's been awesome, and I thoroughly enjoyed working with you on these projects when I get a chance to as well. I'll make sure to put in a picture of your wood pile over here and some of the other cool things you guys have done in here. But
Yeah. And I'll tell you, John, you're a great grandson-in-law.
well, I appreciate it. I'm happy to be a part of the family.
I'm glad you married our granddaughter.
Well, I appreciate that. I really do.
Wonderful.
I really do appreciate that.
See, another little artesian well.
Another artesian well. Here we go. Well, until next time, everybody. Thanks for watching this video with Ed. He's practically the mayor of Sonoy at this point.
Not really. Not really.
But appreciate y'all taking the time to watch this video, and just keep checking back in. We got more of these to come, and I'm really excited to continue to highlight everything that Sonoy has to offer.
Thank you, John.
You're welcome, Ed. Take care.